I found my shy boyfriend on his knees at a freak-off. I'm gonna kill him. Not metaphorically, not playfully. I am going to throw Nico into oncoming traffic and call it justice. You said chill night, I hissed, pacing the sidewalk. You said downtown drinks, you said, and I quote, nothing weird. You even swore on your nana's dentures. Nico held up both hands like I spooked an animal. Okay, first of all, you're being very dramatic. Dramatic! Nico, we're all the way across town, and you're dressed fancy. Nico shrugged, unfazed. So, maybe I skipped out a few details, but it's a party, dude. You need to chill. It's past midnight. Social events that take place at this hour are a prequel to messy tabloid headline. Nico rolled his eyes. Oh, please. You're not famous. Tell that to the 3 exes in my DMs trying to find God since I got cuffed. I shot back. I have a brand now. A reformed arc. I'm dating Ezra, who blushes when I say cheeks too loud. I'm a new man. Right. And tonight is the ultimate test of your conviction. Nico said, throwing his arm around my shoulder, like he was introducing me on a game show. Look, you don't have to touch. Don't have to flirt. You're just spectating. Vibes only. I look at him. Vibes only. Just vibes? Nico, the last time you said that, we woke up in Atlantic City and someone had a tattoo of my face on their thigh. And wasn't that a story? I groaned, already halfway to regretting everything. Still, I followed him, because I already paid for the Uber. The entrance alone was a red flag, dressed as a bouncer. 2 men in full black suits and gold masks stood flanking at doors big enough to drive a guild complex through. One reached out. Invitation? Nico blinked. Invitation? I side-eyed him. You dragged me here, and you didn't even know it was invite only? I thought it was. Like, open-themed. Like a pop-up rave. Pop-up? I hissed. Nico, they have chandeliers out front. Nico's eyes suddenly lit up. Oh, I know. He reached into his jacket and handed over a sleek golden envelope. The bouncer scanned it, nodded, and handed us both black velvet masks and thick cloaks. What the hell is this? Narnia after dark? I muttered. We weren't even through the doors when they hit us with a full-on waiver. 4 pages, NDAs, no phones, no photographs, no identifying masks. I wasn't sure if I was attending a party or auditioning for some major movie. Did you know about this? I whispered. Nico shook his head, wide-eyed. Bro, I swear I didn't. I squinted at the last clause. Participants waive their rights to file emotional distress claims. I looked up. That's so comforting. We signed because we're idiots. Beautiful, curious, underdressed idiots. Then the doors opened, and I immediately understood. The music hit first, low, pulsing, sensual, like someone had turned bass into breath. Then the lights, gold, crimson, moody as hell. And the people, masked, cloaked, withering. Some in booths, some in corners, some on each other. Nico froze. I swear he stopped breathing. I leaned in. Nico? He didn't answer. I poked his arm. Nico? What the hell is this? From somewhere behind the curtain came a sound that was definitely not a DJ drop. Nico finally found his voice. I don't know. I exhaled. Of course you didn't. Because why would I expect any part of this to make sense? Still, I didn't turn around. Because something about the energy in the room, the mystery, the masks, the hush of it all, crawled under my skin. And not in a good way. Maybe Nico was right. Maybe this was a test. I just hadn't realized what, or who, I'd be tested with. 15 minutes later. Okay, so here's the thing. I've seen stuff, I've done stuff, I've been stuff. okay? But nothing could have prepared me for the interior of this place. From the outside, a random warehouse. HBO after midnight meets the Da Vinci Code. Velvet curtains, dim red lights, masked people sprawled over the antique furniture like it was a residential-themed OnlyFans shoot. Music playing low, all throbbing bass and breathy moans, and scented candles. Of all things, like that was the last thing of decency they wanted to keep intact. I think we've wandered into Dionysus' basement, I muttered, pulling my cloak tighter around me, like it was gonna protect my virtue. Nico, meanwhile, looked like a kid in a candy store. If the candy was adults in various levels of naked doing things that would send you straight to horny jail. Oh my god, he whispered reverently. There's a sex swing. I've never seen a real one before. I turned. There was a swing, and someone was definitely mid-swing. I covered my eyes. Christ, on a crotch rocket. Nico, I swear to God, if this is one of those things where you have to pass a test to get out, I'm failing on purpose. Nico slapped my arm, grinning, like he just won the lottery. Bro, this is incredible. Look! That dude's wearing nothing but glitter and confidence. I'm begging you to lower your voice. Too late, the glitter guy heard and winked. Then he crooked his finger at us. Oh no, I said quickly, backing up. Nope, no thank you, we're just passing through. Appreciate the sparkles, carry on. We turned a corner and stumbled into another room. This one was dimmer, with silhouettes bathed in gold light behind thin screens. It was like a shadow puppet show, but naked. A low moan echoed through the air. Someone clapped, like we were in a jazz bar. What the hell is happening? I whispered. Nico had the audacity to elbow me and say, Art. That's what's happening. Respect it. I keep walking, praying to every god in the universe that we'd find a bathroom, or a fire exit, or a portal back to Earth. Instead, we found a bed. A giant one, round, draped in silk, occupied by at least 5 people, all in masks. One of them spotted us, raised a glass, and purred. Newcomers. I choked. Nico waved. Yeah? Join us. The stranger offered us. The stranger offered with a voice so sultry. The stranger offered with a voice so sultry it made my knees threaten to file for divorce. I grabbed Nico by the arm and yanked. We are not joining a softcore eyes wide shut cult. Let's keep moving. He groaned like I just canceled Christmas. Taye, are you literally ruining the best night of my life right now? You're welcome. Another corridor. More bodies. More masks. One room had a human chocolate fountain situation I will never unsee. By the time we made it to the main hall, I was just about 10 minutes away from fashionizing a cross made out of glow sticks and performing an exorcism. Nico, still thriving. This is my Roman Empire. He whispered like he was getting misty-eyed. I didn't respond. I was too busy trying to accidentally make eye contact with someone tied to a rotating platform. Alright, I muttered. We've had our fun. We need to get the hell out of here. What? Dude, we totally just got here. Nico whined. But then a horn went off. Not the party kind, not the shots kind of either. Ram's horn and apocalypse levels of ominous. The entire room shifted. Masks turned. Cloaks moved. Without a single word, people started heading towards a grand archway at the back of the hall, where a deep gold light split out like some kind of portal. I grabbed Nico's sleeve. Cool. I love mass migration. This is our chance to dip while everyone's distracted. Nico, of course, was already halfway into the crowd. Are you serious? I hissed. We have our out. And missed the finale. He grinned back at me like a feral raccoon about to knock over a trash can. Come on! When are we ever going to see something like this again? Hopefully never, I muttered. But I followed because I hate myself, apparently. The main hall was different. Vaulted ceilings, a ring overhead lights, like a halo made for judgment. And at the center, a stage, raised slightly above the marble floor, and more pounding bass. Just murmurs and low pulsing hum. Sometime, some things too ancient and too intimate to be a song. Then a spotlight hit on one figure stood in the center. Cloaked, masked, bare feet pressed together, trembling slightly. Every bit of him radiated hesitation. Two robed figures circled slowly around him, moving like a shadow in a ritual. Not dancing, not walking, just gliding. The whispering started again, low and synchronized, like the crowd had been waiting for a cue. What the hell is this? I muttered, brows furrowed. Nick beside me whispered back, okay, that's definitely a cult. But like an artsy cult? He was grinning. Of course he was. On stage, one of the robed figures stepped forward and whispered something into the cloaked guy's ear. He flinched, shook his head. More whispering, this time firmer. There was a beat of silence. Then slowly, hesitantly, the figure raised his hand and unfastened the clasp around his throat. The cloak slid off his shoulders and pooled at his feet. I tensed. The guy stood there, still masked, now shirtless, slim, pale torso exposed under the spotlight. His hands hovered like he didn't know what to do with them. The chanting grew louder. Another whisper, another hesitation. He peeled off his shirt next. Slow, reluctant, folding inward on himself, like he wanted to disappear. The air seemed colder. He looked cold. They're really making him strip like this, I whispered. Nick let out a low whistle. If this is initiation, I want to know what graduation looks like. I elbowed him. Then, the masked figure was told to kneel. He hesitated again. Not just shy, unsure, nervous. But after a long pause, he sank down onto his knees. Someone apparently with a jar, thick liquid shimmering gold under the lights. Whatever it was, it didn't look like anything you could buy in a regular store. And that's when they asked him to take off his mask. I could feel it, the change in him, a full body flinch, his whole frame tensed. One of the robed ones whispered again, lower this time. No convincing, demanding. I stared, edging closer, heart hammering. Nick blinked at me. Dude, relax. The guy's just shy. Prude's probably into it. But I wasn't listening anymore, because the masked boy lifted trembling fingers towards his face. His hands hovered, paused, then slowly tugged the mask free. And there he was. Ezra? On his knees, in front of a chanting robed crowd, looking like he wanted to disappear. My Ezra. My blushes if you say nipple in public. Flinches from PDA. Tiptoes around eye contact, Ezra. The room blurred. My brain rebooted. My hand shot and grabbed Nico's arm so hard he winced. Tell me I am hallucinating, I whispered. Nico blinked. Oh, shit. Yeah, shit. Didn't even begin to cover it. Flashback. 1 week ago. Ezra's lips tasted like cinnamon, tea, and nerves. And we curled up onto his tiny bed, the kind that squeaks if you so much as breathe too hard. His hands were in my hoodie pockets. Mine were cradling his jaw. And we were kissing like we had nowhere else to be. God, I could kiss him forever. Until I got a little bold. I slipped my hands beneath his shirt. And he tensed. Just like that, the moment froze. Cheeks flaming. Eyes wide like I just caught him pirating Disney Plus. I'm sorry, he whispered, voice small. I immediately raised my hands in surrender, heart dropping like I'd just broken something precious. Hey, no. You don't have to apologize. I moved back, let the space breathe between us, sat upright, and rested my back against his headboard, like I hadn't just been 2 seconds away from trying to undress the love of my life. Love of my life. Jesus. I'm not good at this, Ezra murmured, looking anywhere but at me. I thought I'd be, I don't know, better at it now. I smiled and gently tugged him towards me, until his head was resting against my shoulder. Better at what? I asked. Being a heartthrob. 'Cause you've got me by the throat. He laughed, quiet and soft, the way he always did when he didn't quite believe me but wanted to. I feel it in my chest like a bruise. Truth is, Ezra had always been like this. Shy, cautious, like the world had taught him early that it was safer to tiptoe. He flushed if you complimented his socks. He needed at least 10 seconds of warning before you kissed him in public. Total opposite of me. A 180 from the walking, talking confidence machine everyone knew as Taye Granger. And yet, about a year ago, I walked into that debate meeting by accident and saw him sitting in the back, hoodie sleeves pulled up over his knuckles, biting his lip as he scribbled in a notebook. And I knew I was done for. Ezra was quiet in a world full of noise, steady in a life where I'd spent too long spinning. He made me want to slow down. That night, we didn't do more than just lie there, my arm around his breath steadying against my collarbone, his fingers curled into the hem of my shirt, like he was anchoring himself there. And honestly, that was more than enough. 2 hours later when I climbed out of his bedroom window like a rom-com delinquent, I heard him call out softly, "Taye?" I turned to the window. "Yeah?" His face was half lit by a glow of his desk lamp. His hair was a mess, his voice even messier. "I'm sorry," he said again. I climbed back in without a second thought, wrapped my arms around him, and held him so tight he made soft surprise sounds in my chest. "Don't be," I said. "Seriously, if anyone's sorry, it's me. I never wanted to make you feel like you owe me anything. Ever." He nodded against my hoodie. We kissed once more. Short, sweet, shy. And then I finally left, heart embarrassingly full. Flashback ends. Back at the freak off. The room pulsed like a living thing. Hot breath, oil-slick skin, chants echoing off the walls. But all I could hear was blood rushing in my eyes. That wasn't Ezra. It couldn't be Ezra. I shoved past a guy in leather wings and brushed off some masked goddess trying to pull me into her lap. Nico grabbed my arm, trying to hold me back. "Dude, wait. Taye, you don't know." "I do," I snapped, jerking out of his grip. My heart was jackhammering. My throat? Sandpaper, but my feet didn't stop moving. It's him. I know it's him. Every step forward felt like dragging my soul behind me. But I couldn't not look. I had to know. And there I saw him clearly, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Kneeling, bare chest glowing under low-hung lights, soft skin slicked with oil, like that shy mouth parted slightly, like he was mid-breath. 2 masked figures hovered behind him, still chanting, their hands hovering like he was holy. But he looked different. But it wasn't in his eyes. Even with the mask on, even with every part of my reality fraying apart like a bad dream, I knew those eyes. Ezra. My Ezra. I felt something rip inside me. My mask hit the floor before I even knew I was tearing it off. Ezra! The whole damn room froze. Like a DJ yanked the cord mid-track. Like sin itself pressed pause. Ezra's head jerked towards me, eyes wide, horrified. "Taye?" He moved to get up, stumbling, scrambling towards me, like he'd just woken up in a nightmare. But I was already gone. I turned and bolted. Out of the hall, out of the velvet hellscape, out of the lie. I heard Nico shouting behind me, heard Ezra calling my name again. More desperate this time, but I didn't stop. Couldn't. Not until I saw outside, heaving air like it was my first time. 2 days later, I didn't leave my room all weekend. No practice, no group chats, no gym selfies. Hell, I barely made it to the bathroom. My coach probably thought I was dead. Nico definitely thought I was dead. And if you asked me somewhere around hour 32 of lying in the dark with my phone face down and my pride gutted like a fish, you might have been right. I'd never had heartbreak before. Not real heartbreak. Sure, I've ghosted a few people. Left a trail of emotional debris behind me. Sophomore year that could have been classified as a natural disaster. But me, this wasn't supposed to happen to me. But it did. Because every time I closed my eyes, I saw Ezra on his knees, mask off, oil glinting on his goddamn skin. And worse than that, he looked free. Like a version of him wasn't wearing shackles. Like I'd been the one putting him in a cage this whole time with my soft kisses and, "You okay, babe?" and waiting like a saint when I didn't even know he already handed his body to something wilder. I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me, and somebody had sucker punched my trust in the nuts. I didn't know how to be angry. I didn't know who to be angry at. Ezra for not telling me? Myself for not seeing it? Or the universe? Or making me fall for one guy who turned out to be a stranger in his own skin? My pillow still smelled like him. My hoodie, the one he always borrowed and got eyeliner smudges on, was hanging on the back of my chair, like it hadn't just committed emotional murder. I didn't even cry. I couldn't. I just lay there in the silence, feeling everything and nothing. The next day, by Monday morning, I was about 3 seconds away from faking my own death. I stared at my reflection, trying to decide which cologne said totally not spiraling from public humiliation. Spoiler, none of them did. I even changed outfits 4 times. Landed on my least slutty hoodie and jeans combo because I figured I was going to be mocked. I should at least be comfy. I stepped onto campus like a man walking into a battlefield. Head down, shoulders squared, ready for whispers, side eyes, and that one dude in chem who lived to be messy. But nothing. Nada. Zilch. The day was fine. Too fine. Yo, Taye. Dre slapped me on the back like nothing happened. You get coach's message about Friday's game? We're running drills after school. I blinked. Yeah, I did. He grinned and jogged off, like my entire life hadn't imploded 48 hours ago. Then came Tasha, queen of gossip, president of knowing everybody's business, who only leaned in to whisper, "I like your curls today," before winking and strutting off in thigh-high boots. And then Mr. Frolkin smiled at me during homeroom, like I wasn't emotionally bleeding outside. What the hell is going on? By second period, I cracked. I cornered Nico outside the vending machine. Okay, level with me. Am I dead? Dreaming? Hallucinating from heartbreak? Nico blinked, halfway through tearing his granola bar open. Dude, what are you talking about? The freak off. Ezra, me, you were there. Nico, did someone cast a spell and make the entire school forget? He chewed. I mean, bro, the NDA was airtight. No phones, no faces. Plus the event was too high profile for the folks from our school to even attend. I found that invite in the mail. Probably for my parents. Ugh, heaven knows what kind of freaky shit they're into. Nico shudders. I stared at him. So you're telling me my social life didn't just implode? Nope, you're still the golden boy. Nico grinned. Congrats, I guess? I walked away in a daze, bumping into shoulders with people who smiled at me, like I hadn't just spent that weekend curled up in my sheets mourning the death of my love life. Everything was painfully normal. Except for one thing. Ezra wasn't there. Not in English, not in the debate room, not even in his favorite seat in the library, where he hoarded lemon drops like a magpie. And God help me, I was relieved. 4 hours later, for the rest of the day, I was riding the high. School life hadn't imploded. My social life was still intact. Nobody knew a damn thing. I was gonna make it. I was gonna put the whole freaky oil slick chanting nightmare behind me, like a fever dream with abs. But life has a sense of humor. And the humor looked a hell of a lot like Ezra sitting on my front porch when I got home. Tay? He stood up as I approached. Don't! I snapped, stepping back like he might burn me. Get off my porch. I just want to talk. Did you miss the part where I said get off? I barked louder than I meant it to. Go back to your little cult circle, or whatever the hell that was. We're done. His face crumpled just a little. Please, let me explain. Explain what? I hissed. That my sweet, shy boyfriend moonlights as the main event at a damn freak show. You lied to me, Ezra. Every second of it. Every kiss. All of it. Tay, I didn't. Boy? My grandma's voice cut through the yard like a knife in silk. She stepped onto the porch, hands on her hips, eyes doing that scary grandma math that calculates how much trouble you're about to be in. Why are you shouting at that sweet boy like you've just lost your damn mind? Ezra turned towards her, blinking, like she was the last ally he had left. She looked between us, me fuming, Ezra crumbling, and something shifted in her expression, real soft-like. Ezra, baby, I think it's best you head on home, she said gently. Ezra hesitated, looked at me one last time like I might change my mind. I didn't. He nodded, swallowed something in his throat, and walked off down the path. My grandma watched until he was out of sight, then she turned back to me. You wanna talk about it? I shook my head, jaw clenched. There's nothing to talk about. She didn't press, just nodded and stepped aside so I could march inside, like I hadn't just shattered all over the damn driveway. I made it to my room, closed the door, collapsed onto my bed, and finally let my chest crack open. Because this thing about heartbreak, it doesn't just stab you, it sinks, quite deep and slow. 1 week later. Funny how silence can be louder than chaos. No grand breakup announcement, no viral expose. Just whispers, shrugs, like the universe decided to gaslight me into thinking it never happened. Like Ezra. My Ezra. With some sugar-coated hallucination I'd cooked up to keep myself out of trouble. But it happened. He happened. And now I was living in the damn after. Everything felt off. Coffee didn't taste right. Football practice was just noise and mud. The music on the playlist all felt like betrayal. Like the lyrics were in on the joke. Stupidly, wildly, pathetically missed him. The way he over-explained things. The way he smelled like eucalyptus and printer ink. The way he curled up when he laughed too hard. God help me. I think I loved him. And now, I couldn't walk 5 feet without tripping over the ghost of something we almost had. I saw him sometimes. In the hallways, at the vending machines, slipping into third period debate like he wasn't haunting me. I gave him space. A wide berth. Like a human minefield I couldn't afford to step on again. Meanwhile, the rumor mill had its own theories. According to school legend, I had ghosted precious Ezra and returned to my natural state of chaos and sin. Because God forbid the golden boy just get his heart broken quietly. And speaking of chaos, Tay, came a voice like expensive perfume and poor decisions. I turned just in time to see Nicoletta, Nico's twin sister, ex-girlfriend. Also, Exhibit A in Why I Need Therapy. She leaned on the locker beside me, hair shining enough to blind. Smirk dilated to max flirt. Long time no text, she purred. Long time no brain cell, I muttered, focusing on my locker combo like it was a bomb defusal. She laughed like I had said something charming. I hated that about her. You know, she said, twirling a curl. There's a party at my place this weekend. Small thing, chill vibes. You should come, reconnect, be worshipped. I'll pass. Suit yourself. But if you change your mind, she leaned in, lips brushing my ear. My parents won't be home until Monday. I turned to her, looked her square in the eye. I'm not interested in reruns, Nikki. She pouted. Who said anything about reruns? I was thinking more deleted scenes. I snorted. Still not interested. She gave a dramatic sigh, like I wounded her pride, and strutted off like she still owned the hallway. Once she was gone, I pressed my forehead against the locker and exhaled. Everyone thought I was back to my old ways. I'd ditch Ezra for the next thrill. If only they knew the truth. I'd have killed to feel something that easy again. 2 hours later, I thought I was in the clear. After Nikki ambushed me and a painful mediocre history test, all I wanted was to get through the day without Ezra haunting me again. So of course, the powers that be laughed in my face. I was heading towards the parking lot, keys in hand, when I saw him. Ezra, sitting on the bleachers by the field, hoodie drawn up, earbuds in. The world tuned out. His fingers were picking at the hem of his sleeve, like he was unraveling his nerves one thread at a time. I should have kept walking, should have minded my own damn business. I just stood there, watching, remembering the night we first kissed. Right at that spot, the way his hand trembled when he touched my jaw, the little surprise noise he made when I pulled him in. The boy sitting there now looked like he hadn't slept in a week. Good, I thought. Let him hurt too. But I didn't move. And then, like he felt me, he looked up. Our eyes met just for a second. Something passed between us. Something raw, ugly, still alive. I looked away fast, walked to my waiting Uber. Take me home. Please. I was interrupted by the sound of somebody getting in the car with me. Okay, Nico said, sliding into the back seat uninvited. You need to talk about it before your head explodes, and we all die in the nuclear fallout. I'm fine. He gave me a flat look. Dude, you're more clenched than a nun in a strip club. I stared straight ahead. He waited. Why'd he do it? I said, voice low. He told me he wasn't ready. Said he didn't want to go further. Then 2 days later I find him there. Nico didn't have a snarky comeback. That's how I knew I was really broken. I don't know, man, he said. But he looked wrecked, like gutted. You're not the only one bleeding, I scoffed. I didn't peg you to be for Team Ezra. I'm not, he said. I'm Team Taye, but I'm also Team Don't turn into a shell of a human just because your sweet twink has secrets. I let out a laugh. It was weak, but it counted. You're not done with him, Nico added. I am. You're not. I didn't answer. The Uber driver looked between both of us like he wanted to say something, but he decided to just screw it and start the trip. That weekend, it was a Sunday. The sun was judging me, and my arms were being yanked out of their sockets by 2 golden retrievers named Beyonce and Meatball. I was halfway through my shift at the dog park, aka the one place I could think without seeing Ezra's face in every friggin' crack on the pavement, when I heard someone call my name. I turned expecting a Karen with a leash complaint. Instead, Ezra, looking like he still hadn't slept in days, hair a mess, hoodie on backwards, eyes wide, like he just sprinted across the park. 10 seconds, he panted. That's all I'm asking. 10. I groaned. Ezra, please. The dogs were tugging me towards a poodle with drama in its eyes, but I sighed and yanked them to a stop. 10, I muttered. Start talking. Ezra fidgeted on the park bench like it was too hot to sit on. He didn't meet my eyes, just kept twisting his fingers like they may unlock the way out of this conversation. Then he blurted, "Someone started texting me a week before the party." I raised a brow. "Texting you?" He nodded. "I don't know who. They said they knew me. Knew us. Said they understood my issue." I squinted. What kind of Netflix psycho nonsense is that supposed to mean? "I thought it was a prank at first," he rushed. "I blocked them. But then they started sending details, like real ones. Stuff about me. Stuff about you. Stuff about us. Stuff I've never said out loud." He trailed off, and I knew exactly which nights he meant. The ones where I tried to pull him closer. And he'd freeze up, and I'd pretend it didn't hurt when he pulled away. I folded my arms. "You've got about 10 seconds before I walk." Ezra winced, then yanked his phone from his pocket like it burned. "Here, just read." The texts were real. Too real. Whoever it was had been watching, or listening. They knew Ezra's insecurities, knew my frustrations, knew we were barely holding it together. It still didn't explain the sex altar. "So let me get this straight," I said. "Some anonymous sex therapist / masked cult recruiter tells you that to fix our relationship, you should go play sacrifice virgin in front of an audience." Ezra's eyes turned red. That's not... Okay, yes. But listen." "I'm listening, unfortunately." He exhaled shakily. "I didn't know what kind of event it was. I swear. I thought it was like, I don't know, a support group. Like Alcoholics Anonymous. But for touch-averse weirdos." I blinked. "You thought AA was handing out velvet masks and freaky invites?" "No. Not at first. The person said they had a group, a safe, a private one. No pressure, fully anonymous, exhibition-based. Said it would be a controlled setting. No contact, no judgment, just exposure therapy. But like the X-rated version." I stared at him long enough that he started squirming again. "They mailed me a mask and a cloak," he muttered. That's when I started getting nervous. I almost blacked out. I tilted my head. "Why didn't you?" His voice dropped. "Because I thought maybe it was too late. Like, if I bailed, I'd be proving I was too broken to change. And I wanted to change for us." I didn't say anything. Ezra swallowed. I had no idea they were going to put me on stage, or make me take my shirt off. I thought I could just watch, ease into it. But the second I walked in, they said I was next. Someone shoved the cloak on me. I kept trying to say no, but they just kept going. I was stupid. I should have left. His voice cracked a little at the end. I looked down at my sneakers, soaked from where Meatball had pissed on me 10 minutes ago. Beyoncé was curled on my foot, like a support dog. Ezra kept going, voice thin. "I thought if I did it, if I got through it, maybe I could finally fix whatever it is that makes me so messed up. I didn't expect you to be there. I didn't expect. He broke off. God, I'm sorry. I hated myself for the second I saw you. There was a long, messy pause, and then, somehow I heard myself say, I can't believe you joined a sex cult for me. Ezra gave me a weak laugh. Technically, it was more of a therapeutic performance collective. I looked at him. You were naked on stage. He winced. Okay, fine. Sex cult adjacent. I sighed. Not because I forgave him. Not yet. But because somehow, beneath the insanity and the weirdest goddamn weekend of my life, I got it. Even if it was the dumbest plan known to man. Beyonce and Meatball's mum. Where are my 3 children? Great. She was 3 emojis from calling 911. I sighed. I gotta go. Ezra shifted. So, are we good? I looked at him, hoodie half on, dark circles under his eyes, the kind of exhaustion that didn't come from missing sleep, but from carrying guilt that heavy. I don't know, Ez, I said honestly. His face dropped. I'm not angry, I added, but I'm still figuring things out. I need space. Time. He nodded quietly. I jerked my chin at him. You look like hell. Go get some sleep. Then I whistled for the dogs, turned and walked off. A week later. 1 week. That's how long I've been living in my own head rent-free. And let me tell you, the amenity in there? Trash. Nothing but what-ifs, could-it-be's. And enough mental gymnastics to qualify for nationals. Don't get me wrong, Ezra coming clean helped. It really did. But something still felt off. Like I was missing a page from the script and trying to pretend I knew my lines. So I did what any completely sane, emotionally stable boyfriend would do. I stormed into Nico's place and accused him of sabotage. Tell me the truth now. I snapped, hands on my hips like someone's underpaid manager. You sent those texts, didn't you? Nico looked up from his couch throne, controller in one hand, half-eaten Pop-Tart in the other. Is this about the freak-off again? Damn right it is, I shot back. You're the only link between me and that place. And conveniently, invite the same night Ezra's. I waved a hand like I was trying to clear the mental image. You knew what that party was. Nico blinked. Bro, I found the invite in the mailbox. It was a fancy envelope. My name was on it. I thought it was a Hogwarts letter. I didn't know it was a porn masquerade. I squinted at him. Your parents? He shrugged. They're rich, hot, and go on suspicious weekend retreats. It tracks. I groaned. God. Okay, maybe you're not the puppet master. He raised his Pop-Tart like a peace offering. Apology accepted. I collapsed on the edge of the couch. This whole thing turning my brain into scrambled eggs. Nico offered a sympathetic wince. Yeah, I'd probably be accusing my own grandma if I was you. We sat in silence for a beat, me spinning in my own mess, him vibing like always. Nico nudges me. Wanna chill for a bit? Watch dumb videos? Remind yourself that the world doesn't suck? I almost said yes. Almost. But then I remembered. Your sister's gonna be home soon, I muttered, pushing off the couch. And I don't want any of that smoke. Nico groaned. Please. She's been acting like she's in a K-drama since she found out you were single again. Exactly why I'm opening the door and leaving. I finished flatly, eyes locking with the last person I wanted to see today. There she was, Nicoletta. Blonde, smug, and carrying a tray of overpriced bubble tea like she knew she was about to deliver the plot twist. Oh, she said, faux surprised. eyes flickering down my frame and back up like it was a slice of cake she hadn't noticed whether to eat or destroy. "Didn't know you were here." I forced a smile. "Yeah, well, I didn't know you were gonna be here." Nico groaned behind me. "God, again with the tension!" Squeezing past her in the doorway like I was ducking under tripwire. "Tell your tea to chill. I'm not here to start anything." Her voice followed me. I made it up to the steps.
"That's a shame, Taye. You used to be so great at starting things."
I didn't turn back. I didn't give her the satisfaction. Just stuffed my hands in my pockets and muttered under my breath as I walked off. An hour later, I didn't know what possessed me to stop by Ezra's place. Maybe it was the fact that my brain hadn't shut up in 3 days. Maybe it was the ghost of a relationship we almost torched. Or maybe, just maybe, I was tired of trying to be a one-man investigation unit with no leads and way too much emotional damage. I knocked once, twice. The door cracked open, and there he was. Ezra. Still soft around the edges, still with those oversized hoodies, like they were armor. But his eyes lit up the second he saw me, and before I could change my mind, his arms were around me. We just stood there for a beat, holding each other like the world had paused. I didn't even realize how much I needed that until it happened. I pulled back, clearing my throat, like I just hadn't melted into his shoulder. I just needed to talk to someone who wouldn't tell me I'm insane. Ezra gave a breathless laugh. That's a short list. Exactly. I followed him inside, collapsing on the edge of his bed. Look, I'm trying to make sense of everything that night. The messages, the masked weirdness, and the more I turned it over in my head, the more it feels like someone played us. Played me. Ezra sat behind me, following his hand in his lap. I haven't heard from them again. Not since that night. Are you sure? I asked, already dreading the answer. He nodded. Nothing. No texts, no new messages. It's like they just disappeared. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling like it had answers. So that's it, I muttered. They lit a fire, wrecked our lives, and dipped. Ezra gently touched my knee. I'm glad you're here. I looked at him, tired. Yeah, me too. I just wish I knew what we were up against. He gave a small smile. Then maybe we figure it out together. I looked at him, really looked at him, and something in my chest shifted. Like maybe, just maybe, we hadn't wrecked this thing beyond repair. Like maybe I hadn't just been completely stupid to believe in us. And hell, for a second, I forgot about the texts, the freak off, the crowd, the masks. There was only him. Ezra leaned in, just slightly, like he wasn't even aware what he was doing. I didn't move. His hand grazed mine, tentative, teasing. I should have pulled back. I didn't. Not yet. He got closer. Close enough that I could smell the cinnamon something shampoo he always used. Close enough that his breath hit my cheek. Our foreheads nearly touched. My eyes dropped to his lips. And then, I blinked hard and pulled back. Fast, like I'd touched a flame. Ezra froze. Hair flickered behind his eyes. But he didn't say anything. I stood rubbing the back of my neck. I should go. Taye! I just need to clear my head, I said, already backing towards the door. It's not... I just need space, okay? He nodded slowly, swallowing whatever words were forming. I hated that look in his face. I hated that look on his face. I reached for the doorknob, paused, and then, over my shoulder, have a good night, as a weak smile tugged at his lips. And then I left, heart pounding, throat tight, wishing like hell that timing wasn't such a bitch. 3 months later, I'd love to say I cracked the case, found the mastermind behind the Freak Night debacle, and got my Netflix special. But no, I had to let it go. I still sat there sometimes, that itch at the back of my skull, whispering, something still doesn't add up. But I shoved it down, like an emotionally evolved boyfriend I was trying very hard to become. Therapist not included. Things between me and Ezra had been slow, touch and go. Like I'd smiled and he'd over-apologize. He tried to hold my hand, and I'd tense up, like I was wired to flinch. But we didn't just get back together. We crawled back together. There were awkward silences, 2-week stretches where we barely talked. But Ezra kept showing up. Outside football, outside chem class, even once outside my house just to drop off my hoodie with the dumb note inside that says, "Still smells like you. Sorry if that's weird." It was, but also kind of sweet. Not once. And he didn't push. Not once. Even when I ghosted him for a day. Even when he saw me talking to my ex, and clearly died a little inside. He just waited. Owned it. Never made excuses. Nico even said, "Dude's actually playing the long game. I think he actually gets it now." So yeah, eventually the air stopped crackling when we were in the same room. We laughed more. I didn't analyze every breath he took. And one night, no big moment, no big speech, we just clicked again. Not like before. Better. Messier. More honest. Also, he made me a promise to stop digging. Said the whole almost accidental sex cult thing gave him nightmares. Fair enough. Now we were lying in bed, tangled in limbs and leftover fries. Half a playlist into summer break planning. "I'm telling you," I said, scrolling through Nico's DMs. "His parents' beach house has open bar, 0 rules. And the annual inflatable flamingo race? It's practically a Granger's tradition at this point." Ezra chuckled against my chest. "I think I've reached my party quota for the year." "Come on," I said, nudging him with my knee. "It's not like anyone's going to break into an "Come on," I said, nudging him with my knee. "It's not like anyone's going to break into an interruptive orgies in broad daylight. It's just tequila and bad decisions." "That's exactly what worries me." I grinned and pulled him closer. "You're so cute when you pretend to be responsible." He sighed dramatically. "Fine, but if I see one velvet curtain, I'm out. Deal. But you're carrying the floaties. Deal breaker." We both laughed. Real, stomach deep, whole body laugh. Summer is coming. We still have us. And I was holding on to that with both hands. 3 days later, the damn envelope appeared, like it had grown legs and crawled out of my nightmares. Same wax seal, same luxe golden texture that screamed expensive and dangerous. Same handwriting that looked like Dracula's wedding invite. I just stood there, staring at it on my kitchen counter like it might open itself and whisper my name. What the hell is this? No name, no explanation, no return address, just coordinates. A date, and a cold pit forming in my stomach again. I didn't even open it yet, and I was already spiraling. Why me? Why again? And most importantly, how the hell did this get into my mailbox? Like it's another Pizza Hut flyer. I called Nico. He picked it up on the first ring, already laughing. "No way! You sure it's the same invite?" I stared at the envelope. "Unfortunately, yeah." "Yes!" I could hear him fist pumping through the phone. "I've been checking my mail like a psychopath since that night. I thought maybe I missed my shot." "You're excited?" Still watching the envelope like it might detonate. "Are you kidding? I didn't even get to enjoy the first one. Thanks to you going full Disney movie heartbreak in the middle of the sex temple. This time, I want to stay long enough to at least see what's behind curtain number 3. "Nico, this could be dangerous." "It could also be awesome," he said brightly. "You're going, right?" "I don't know," I muttered. Silence. Okay, but... You want to, don't you?" I exhaled through my nose. I want to know who sent it. I want to know who's behind all of this. I want to look them in the face and ask why the hell they dragged me and Ezra into their weird-ass exhibition soap opera. "So that's a yes then," Nico said chipper. "I didn't say that. You're going." "I shouldn't go." "But you will," he sing-songed. And honestly, that was the worst part. He was right. 2 days later, right after the gym, I was toweling sweat off my neck and trying to remember if I'd left my charger in physics when Ezra turned to me. Cheeks flushed, hair damp, and that familiar look in his eye. The one that made time stutter. Most of the guys were already filling out, slapping backs and cracking jokes, steam still clinging to the locker room walls. It was just us now. And Ezra, standing there like he working up the courage to ask me out to prom, and rob a bank at the same time. "You doing anything this weekend?" he asked, voice soft. My brain paused. My brain short-circuited a little. I shrugged casually as I could. Probably just laundry and contemplating the void. Ezra smiled nervous. "Would you want to stay over at mine?" I blinked. "A sleepover?" Ezra nodded, then added, barely above a whisper, "I think I'm ready." Everything inside me short-circuited. I blinked at him like he just proposed. My heartbeat picked up like I was training for a marathon. I opened my mouth, closed it, tried again. "You sure?" He nodded again, still red. "Yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot. And I wanted to be with you. I trust you." And just like that, my stomach flipped. And the good kind of flip. Dizzy, excited. Holy crap, I'm in love kind. But then, the invite. This weekend, the freak off. Suddenly, my excitement tangled with dread, because I knew I had to make a choice. One night, 2 paths. Either I go hunting for the faceless mastermind who nearly blew up my relationship, or I stay with the boy who was trying to heal it. And the worst part, I still wasn't sure which one would bring me peace. "Yeah," I said, finally kissing him on the cheek before he could read my face too deep. "I'll see what I can do." And that was the truth. I just didn't know what version of see I meant. Friday night rolled in slow and golden. The kind of sunset that makes the trees look like they were posting for Instagram. I was on the rooftop of Nico's ridiculous mansion, barefoot, hoodie half zipped, nursing a cold Coke and a brain full of chaos. Nico flopped down next to me on a long chair like we were on vacation and sitting on the architectural equivalent of a Marvel villain's lair. "So?" he said, biting into a cookie the size of my face. "What's the verdict, Romeo? You're going masked and mysterious, or Netflix and emotionally vulnerable?" I didn't answer right away, just reached into my hoodie. Pocket pulled out the invite. I didn't answer right away, just reached into my hoodie and pulled out the invite. Nico's eyes went cartoon wide. "No way!" I handed it to him. "Yes way." He blinked. "You're serious? You're giving this to me?" "I'm choosing Ezra," I said, exhaling slowly. He's done so much to fight his own fears just to meet me halfway. I'm not going to ditch that chase down for some shadow puppet behind an orgy cult. Nico crackled. "You make everything sound so dramatic. But hey!" He snatched the invite like I was winning the lottery ticket. I respect it. "I'll tell you everything. Every freaky detail." I rolled my eyes. "Please don't," he grinned. "Oh, I absolutely will." And just like that, something settled in my chest. Peace. Maybe. Or at least the sense of that. For once, I wasn't running from something. I was choosing someone. Ezra. And this time, I wasn't looking back. That weekend. The weekend finally rolled in. Slow and heavy. Like the sky was waiting for something to happen. I wasn't nervous. Not exactly. But I checked my reflection more times than I cared to admit before knocking on Ezra's door. He opened like he was standing there the whole time, rehearsing what to say. His eyes lit up when he saw me, all soft and warm, and too damn forgiving. That alone nearly cracked me open. "You came!" He breathed, like he wasn't sure if I would. I tried to play it cool. Was there a bet going on about that or something? He laughed, barely, and rubbed the back of his neck. "No, I just... after everything, I thought maybe you'd changed your mind." I stepped inside and shut the door behind me. I didn't. Ezra nodded, but finally fully convinced. I could see it in the way he kept avoiding eye contact, like he didn't know how to hold it without falling apart. We settled into this weird kind of silence where everything's unspoken but heavy as hell, and I didn't know we had to talk. Really talk. I got another invite, I said, watching his reaction closely. Ezra froze, like someone had poured cold water down his back. What? 2 days ago, I continued. Same envelope, same creepy energy, just showed up. His expression twisted in guilt and something close to fear. Taye, I swear I didn't. I know. I cut in gently, reaching for his hand. I know you didn't. But I had to tell you because it rattled me, and I figured it had rattled you too. Ezra sat down on the edge of his bed, like his legs had given out. God, I hate that thing. I hate that I even responded. I was so stupid. You weren't stupid, I said, even though part of me had felt exactly that. You were trying to fix something you didn't even break. I get it now. He looked up, eyes wet. But I almost blew it. I had almost ruined the one good thing in my life. And now I keep thinking, what if it had gotten further? What if you walked in a minute later? Hey, I said, kneeling in front of him. You didn't. And I'm here. You and me. We're still figuring it out, yeah? But I still haven't gone anywhere. Ezra nodded slowly, like he wanted to believe me, but he was still scared. I hesitated before asking the next question. You're not trying to make up for it by sleeping with me tonight, right? He blinked, started and shook his head hard. No, God, no! He took a breath, then finally met my eyes. I've been feeling pathetic, Taye. Like I let some stranger in my head, let them convince me I was broken, that I needed to be fixed, that I wasn't enough for you. I did something extreme. He looked down again, and that's on me. I moved to sit beside him. I want this, he said softly, not because I'm trying to make things right, but because I'm done being scared. I'm tired of hiding and wanting and knowing if I'm enough. I want to be brave for once. I want to stop overthinking every damn thing and just be with you. That quiet cracked something wide open in me. I leaned in and kissed him. Slow, careful, grounded. He kissed me back like he meant it. The rest happened in soft murmurs and shared looks. Her shirt peeled away here. The breathless laugh. There. But nothing rushed. Nothing forced. By the time we made it under the covers, it wasn't about performance. It was about presence. About choosing each other. Again and again. And that night, we didn't just sleep together. We healed something we didn't know needed healing. Next week I walked into school feeling like I was walking on clouds. Except cooler, because clouds are cold and wet. And the metaphor always annoyed me. Point is, life was good. Life was golden. Perfect boyfriend? Check. Perfect relationship? Check. Mind-blowing emotional. And okay, physical. Milestone achieved. Over the weekend. Big, fat check. And judging by the way Ezra practically glided down the hall towards debate practice, back straight, face lit up like he'd just won Nobel Prize for being adorable. I wasn't the only one feeling like something had changed. There was a little more confidence in his stride, a brightness in his smile. Maybe I was imagining it. Maybe not. I barely had enough time to finish the thought before I was pulled into a headlock. Bro! Nick said in a whispered shout, grinning against my temple. You're not gonna believe the night I had. I groaned, already bracing myself. Nick, if this ends in a cult orgy, I absolutely do not want to know. See? That's where you're wrong, he said, spinning me around and walking backwards in front of me, like a man on a mission. Because you do want to hear this. Because he dropped his voice and raised a brow, caught the mastermind. I stopped walking. Wait, what? But before I could get a single answer. The door to the homeroom flew open. 6 police officers strode in, like this was some crime procedural. The whole class froze mid-scroll, mid-sip, mid-banter. There was some whispering between the officers, and our homeroom teacher, Mr. Cutie, who looked like he'd just aged 10 years in 5 seconds. Then, all at once, the cops turned and zeroed in on Nicoletta, Nick's twin, Nick's terrifyingly beautiful, chaos-stirring sister, Miss Nicolette Kingsley. One of them said, voice calm but firm, "You're under arrest." The whole class gasped, like we were in a telenovela. I spun and looked at Nick, who had gone pale. "What the hell?" I muttered. By lunch, the whole school was buzzing like Red Bull in the water supply. "Did you see? They already arrested her." "No way Nicola Kingsley was behind it." I guess everyone had secretly heard the rumor about the freak show. Meanwhile, I sat poking at a limp fry while Ezra picked onions off his burger. Like we weren't the main characters in a teen scandal documentary. Nick dropped into his seat with smugness of a guy who definitely wanted to be asked, "What happened?" "You look suspiciously proud," Ezra said. "That's because I cracked the case," Nick announced mid-bite. "Full Sherlock Holmes mode." "You mean," I said, "you're the reason my boyfriend and I witnessed a Velvet Scandal sex ritual?" "No," he shrugged. "That's on you for following me. But catching the ringleader, all me." Ezra and I exchanged a look. I gave in. "All right, how?" Nick grinned. "So I stayed till the end of the last freak night." Ezra choked. "You what?" Ezra choked on his juice. "Yeah, figured I might as well enjoy the show. Weird's kind of on my brand now." "Unfortunately," I muttered. "Anyway, I saw the masked leader sneak out. I followed and hid behind a car in the back lot." "You podcasted your way through an arrest," I said. "And then, BAM! She took off the mask. Nicoletta Kingsley, my own sister." Ezra blinked. "So, you called the cops?" "No, she's still family." I frowned. "Then, how did they find her?" Nick leaned in, eyes glinting. "Turns out Nikki's new star was the girl from band, Lizzie. The second her robe came off, she freaked out and bolted. What Nikki didn't know, that Lizzie's mom's a cop." "Damn," Ezra muttered. "Don't worry about it too much. She'll probably get bailed out and shipped to Switzerland, or whatever we rich folks do time." Nick added, "But she needed this. You don't get to mess with people like that and walk." Ezra went quiet, staring at his tray. "You good?" I asked, brushing his knuckles under the table. He nodded. "Just can't believe she got in my head like that." "She didn't win," I said. "You're still here." "We're still here." He gave a small smile. "Still wanna punch her though." Nick raised his drink. "Cheers to that." Conclusion. After the whole sex cult scandal blew up, and yes, I'm going to keep calling it that, because what else do you call masked freak night? A suspicious number of oil jars and surprise Nicoletta reveal. Things got real quiet real fast. The school hit full reset mode. Administration started walking like they were afraid of tripping tripwires. And eventually the years rolled by. If someone had told me at the start of the senior year that I'd fall in love with the shyest boy on campus, get emotionally ambushed at a freak show, survive high school drama, cult-adjacent chaos, and still walk the graduation stage with my dignity intact, I'd have laughed in their face. Hard. But here we are. Somehow, despite everything, things settled down after that circus. Ezra and I, we're still strong. Stronger than ever, actually. I think it helped. Almost losing what we had, making us realize just how rare it was. The quiet kind of love that feels like coming home. Even when the whole world's trying to knock your door down. Nick, still chaotic, still throwing wild opinions like glitter, and somehow still the life of the party. He passed, by the way. Don't ask me how. I think even the teachers were too tired to argue with him by the end. As for Nicoletta, Yeah, she actually got shipped off to Switzerland. Apparently there's a program for rich kids with god complexes and a flair for underground theatrics. Who knew? And Ezra, God Ezra, he changed. Not in the way that made him miss who he was. More like he finally let the light inside himself shine. He started standing taller, laughing louder, kissing me in public without combusting. The boy who once blushed at hand-holding, he gave the most fire valedictorian speech the school's ever heard. Had half of the auditorium in tears, and the other half questioning their life choices. Graduation was bittersweet, I won't lie. But we made it. And yeah, we managed to line up our college choices too. You think I let my soulmate get away that easy? We've got dorms in a floor apart, and a whole new city to get lost in together. It's funny. I thought being with someone quiet meant I'd have to tone down who I was. Dim the lights a little. Turns out, the right person doesn't dim your lights. They're reflected right back at you. The end. Be honest. If your soft, innocent boo turned out to be the masked main attraction at a sex cult, are you pulling them out? Pulling up a chair? Or pulling them aside for a private round? Let's hear it, Rainbow Fam. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to become a part of our Rainbow Force. And consider joining our membership for early access content. And stay wholesome.